Your mother is always with you.
She's the whisper of the leaves as you walk down the street.
She's the smell of certain foods you remember.
Flowers you pick and perfume that she wore.
She's the cool hand on your brow when you're not feeling well.
She's your breath in the air on a cool winter's day.
She is the sound of the rain that lulls you to sleep.
The colors of a rainbow. She is Christmas morning.
Your mother lives inside your laughter.
And she's crystallized in every teardrop.
A mother shows every emotion: happiness, sadness, fear, jealousy, hate, anger, excitement, joy, and sorrow.
And all the while, hoping and praying that you will only know the good feelings in life.
She's the place you came from, your first home.
And she's the map you follow with every step you take.
She's your first love, your first friend, even your first enemy.
But nothing on earth can separate you.
Not time, not space, not even death.
Thanks for being here, everybody. I feel this is a true privilege, it's a joy to be here this morning to celebrate our grandmother, Nana. And I just want to introduce ourselves. I'm Ryan, for those of you who don't know us. This is my sister, Christina. We have Andrew and Kevin. And just overjoyed to see everybody. We all loved Nana. She was a tremendous human being. And we just wanted to take this moment to recount some of our fondest memories of our grandmother. I'll start by saying that she was a true athlete. I remember when I was a punk, 13, 14 years old, playing hoops out in the street, out in our parking lot, or driveway, I should say. And, Nana comes out, all nonchalant, asks for the ball, toss it over to her, and she grabs it in this in this sort of unorthodox way. She throws it up there with two hands, and sweet trajectory and nothing but net. And she was out at like 3-point range. I couldn't believe it. It was like, wow. this older woman, she was probably at that time in the early 80s maybe.
Better shooter than you were, probably.
Yeah.
How come she didn't pass that on to her sons?
Yeah, it would have been nice to
Skip the generation.
Yeah, have that privilege. But yeah, I developed a newfound respect for her as an athlete at that point, and I never thought of her as an athlete. We'll see some photos of her in the slideshow. Playing basketball, she actually played while she was in the FBI.
Yeah.
So I wanted to bring that to your knowledge as well. In her later years, obviously, we didn't have the fortune of seeing her as an athlete, but that made up a big portion of her life, you know, when she was younger.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing I remember very, very vividly was her sweet tooth. She loved her.
He has one too.
Yeah, I got that from her. She loved her sweets. She loved to bake. I remember, you know, making Christmas cookies, those sugar cookies that you press down, and she would help me and Andrew back at our old house growing up, making those and spending time with us doing that. And you know, we always say Granddad was, you know, Father Christmas, but she was Mother Christmas for sure, in the way that she prepared all the meals and the sweets and everything. And you know, I remember going on beach trips, and she would always get saltwater taffy, and
She loved her taffy.
she loved her taffy. And you know, she loved her fudge too. She just and I remember riding in her car at points as a younger kid, and she would have those, you know, those old people candies in her car. Those
cinnamon
yeah,
ones.
the cinnamon ones,
Butterscotch.
the butterscotch, the peppermints.
Peppermint.
And so she always had sweets to go, you know.
Yeah. I definitely have a lot of her little recipes, handwritten recipes on note cards. Most of them are desserts, fudge, cookies, cakes, pies.
What was your favorite growing up thing that she cooked? Do you remember?
Her casseroles were really good.
Casseroles? Like a carrot casserole
Chicken
or something?
casserole, chicken cheese casserole,
Mm-hmm.
pecan pie.
You love that carrot salad she used to make too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. She always added a special touch to whatever she made.
Mm-hmm. A couple of the qualities that I remember most in Nana were just always, you know, treat people with respect, her patience, and just be polite to one another. And nobody tried her patience more than our buddy growing up, Micah. Every time she came, Micah was my best friend growing up. He lived across the street, and every time she came to visit our house, Micah would come over from playing outside. He'd open up the cabinets without asking and just grab a bunch of snacks and run back outside. And Nana was always so puzzled by this behavior, but Micah felt so comfortable at our house that this was just kind of a thing that he did. And so one day, you know, Nana pulled Micah aside and he was like, "Hey, you know, sweetheart, if it's not your house, you probably should ask before you go into the cabinets and grab a bunch of food out of there." And so Micah looked at Nana and just went, "Yeah, okay, yeah, sure." 10 minutes later, Micah's back in the door, runs right past him, grabs all the snacks and runs outside. And this was just a continual thing that he did. But as patient as a person as Nana was, I mean, she pulled him aside, she did the right thing, she taught him politeness. But I just remember that was, you know, just a funny memory I had of her patience being tried by Micah.
Yeah, she was definitely very patient and persistent.
Yeah.
If there was something with a hole in it, instead of going buy something new, she would sew the hole, trying to fix it until she got it fixed. We would never go out and buy a new one. I remember having a soccer bag with a bunch of patches I needed sewed on. She hand sewed them. There was about 20 of them. It took her about a week, and her fingers were like dark red, but she finished the job. So she definitely had patience.
Persistent.
Yeah.
Very persistent to get the job done.
And one thing that I looking back, you know, my dad had dug up some old emails and sort of letters that she had written. And, you know, you forget, you know, she had been, you know, kind of battling with, you know, Alzheimer's, dementia for so long that you forget how beautiful of a writer and just thinker she was. I mean, she would help Andrew and I out growing up on our school projects. We would, you know, send her emails asking have like a list of questions of, you know, what was it like growing up, things like that. And, you know, it could have been very easy to answer those in, you know, 1 or 2 sentences, but she would respond with these long, in-depth you know, paragraphs and you know, recounts of her life growing up, and just the way that she wrote them, it was beautiful. Really painted a picture of what it was like for her, you know, growing up. Yeah.
Perfect grammar.
Yeah,
Really perfect.
Errors.
And if she was writing like perfect, you know, penmanship.
Oh yeah.
Beautiful. But yeah, I mean, you and I both sent her, you know, different requests to learn more about her background and where she grew up, and you know, I remember reading through those multiple times, and at the time you kind of take it for granted, but her upbringing, I think, rubbed off on us in a lot of different ways. Just where she came from, her humble beginnings, growing up on a farm, and yeah, she grew up on a farm in Arkansas. And at the age of 13, she learned to drive, and she was driving, you know, milk trucks and delivering milk to neighbors and stores and whatnot. So, I mean, it was fun. It was just fun to learn about where she came from and how that influenced the people that we've become today.
Yeah, she used to always love to sit down and volunteer all of her memories from her childhood on the farm in Arkansas. And I know that left an indelible impression on me, kind of wanting to own land someday and be out on the farm and work with my hands. And so I think that carries on.
You love the cows.
I do love my cows. It's my spirit animal. You know, she would also inquire about our lives. She was very inquisitive, and she always wanted to know where we were, what we were doing. And she was proud of us, and she was always very encouraging, and she was a source of inspiration. Just to have her there, always wanting to hear what we were up to and motivate us to do the next thing. She's a wonderful person.
You know, and she used to always come down on winter vacations and take care of us. Just it was love and care and nurture us. And I was blessed to be able to take care of her. Like the circle of life. Sorry. And take care of her for her last few years. And give her security and love and everything she gave. Well, gave back everything she gave me. So I was really, truly blessed with that gift.
The thing that's kind of circular and that's kind of interesting too is that she was born in Mansfield, Arkansas, and she died in Mansfield, Connecticut.
Yeah.
It might be shared later on, but we thought that was sort of a mysterious coincidence.
Yeah. Thanks, Christina. And speaking of her background, we've actually got a couple of excerpts, something that she wrote for the grandkids, as if, you know, when she perished, things that we would remember, that we would like to know about kind of her background and where she came from. So we mentioned her growing up in Arkansas, but I think we're just going to read a couple of these and pass it around and give you guys a little taste of how she grew up. It's March 2002, and I've been thinking for some time that I would jot down a few things about my past. Maybe the grandchildren want to know sometime. My mother died before my 11th birthday. Unfortunately, I don't remember as much about her as I would like to. I've decided that unless something is written down, nobody remembers. I was pretty much a tomboy growing up. I always loved the outdoors and enjoyed playing all kinds of sports. Mansfield, Arkansas was a very small town. We had to make our own entertainment. I learned to ride my neighbor's bike and wanted one so badly, but Dad thought it was risky to ride in the streets. Strange when I think about it because there were not many cars in our little town. Mansfield only had about 1,000 people. School and church were the cornerstones of our lives. Dad was active in the Methodist Church all of his life, on the board, superintendent of the Sunday school, and served in many other ways. He also served on the school board. Both Dad's family and Mother's family lived about 25 to 30 minutes away, but we often went to visit them on Sundays after Sunday school and enjoyed the wonderful meals that country people prepare. They lived on farms, so it was always fun for me to climb around in the barns and swing on the swings made from old car tires.
Dad was postmaster of our little town post office after leaving the bank during the Depression years, but he always liked outside work and always had a wonderful garden. In addition, we always had 2 or more cows, which he milked and was very early. First, Onita started driving, and I would hop out and deliver the bottles of milk. However, I started driving at the age of 13, unbelievable in this age and time. Life in a small town was very quiet. Not too much to do, but I don't remember being bored because we seemed to always make things to do. School was enjoyable for me. Besides the regular school courses, I loved basketball and played all through school. The team won second place in the state tournament one year. What a thrill for me. I also sang in the chorus and helped the piano teacher by playing for the chorus. My piano skills were limited, but I did take piano lessons for several years. There were only 66 students in my graduating class, and most of the students in our high school lived on farms just outside the town and rode the bus to school. I graduated in 1943. We were already in a war, World War II, so instead of going to college, which I should have done, I came to Washington to work for the FBI. They were recruiting at many schools because so many of the men were drafted and were in the service. I began work for the FBI in 1943. My salary was $1,200 a year.
In early 1944, a friend and I were on our way to Glen Echo. That was a big amusement park in Washington. While we were waiting for the streetcar to take us to Glen Echo, a couple of sailors were there too. We started talking to them and they said they wanted to go to a movie. We did not accept, but after talking to them for some time, one of the sailors asked for my telephone number, which I gave him. The next night, when I came home to my boarding house from work, I had a message from this sailor. This was your granddad. This is how we met, and after that, I started seeing him regularly, almost every night. Your granddad and I liked each other from the start, and in October of 1944, we were married. My dad wanted me to wait until after the war, but we decided that we knew best. Isn't that the way young people think? We had a small wedding with my best friend Vita from Arkansas, standing up for me, and a Navy friend of Paul's, which was his best man. Paul was discharged in December of 1945, and after he received the benefits of the GI Bill, went to Strayer College to get his accounting degree. I continued to work at the FBI until after Paul finished school, until I became pregnant with Rick. At that time, a pregnant woman was allowed to work only through the 6th month of pregnancy, so I quit in July of 1949. Rick was born in October.
I stayed at home, and that summer we purchased our first television. Televisions were really new at this time, and the TV programs did not start until about 3:30 in the afternoon. Hard to imagine this. This was fun for us to have a TV, of course, black and white. It helped to pass time for me until Rick was born. In September of that year, we bought our first car, a green 1949 Pontiac. It was really pretty, and it was a really pretty one with all the extras that you could imagine at the time. We had an ice box with a daily delivery of ice. I had to place a sign in our window before I went to work to show how many pounds of ice we needed for that day. And of course, we did not lock the door. Nothing was ever disturbed. What a different world. In 1952, we had saved enough money to place a down payment on a home, and that's when we moved to Randolph Road in Wheaton, Maryland. Mike was born in 1953. Others in the neighborhood had enlarged families too. In 1959, I decided that I needed to prepare myself for getting back into the job market, so I started to go to night school, taking some business courses. In March of 1960, I did go to work at Vitro Labs and held various other jobs until I retired in February of 1988. Paul had retired several years earlier and really made my working easier because he took over almost all the household obligations. Rick and Mike can fill in the rest of the story with their remembrances of the family. I hope that their memories are as happy as mine. What great sons.
Just wanted to thank everybody for being here. Really appreciate that. We have a small group, and I think sometimes I wonder whether we judge the value of somebody's life by how many people show up at their memorial. But I think in my mom's case, living a life all the way to 94, most of her biggest fans probably had come and gone before her. In my case, I hope none of my parents show up in my memorial, because A, it either means they really didn't like me as much as I thought they did, so the hell with them, or B, they I outlived them all, so I'm hoping for B. I will turn it all over to Mr. Sir Elton John II.
Which pigeon? We're the kids. You met the grandkids. 69, 65, 60, almost, I'm not going to say. We're going to count Karen because she's, although she's not a birth kid, she was really mom's kid too. She lost her mom at an early age, and mom was really her mom for 50 years. So mom always considered you her daughter, and vice versa. It was quite a wonderful daughter-in-law, mother-in-law relationship when I made my life very easy. So you heard a lot about Mom already. We'll try not to cover ground that's already been trod upon, but I wanted to pick it up from when I came along, which was 69 years ago. I was actually born during a Redskins game. My mom was in labor, and my dad was watching the game, and that's the way it worked in the old days. So I came out okay, and Mom remained a solid Redskins fan her whole life. I grew up, my first memories are from living in Northeast Washington, D.C., which is where they had a little apartment. And it was a different place back then. Washington is kind of a rough place in certain areas in town now, but then it was a little bit safer, I think. And I can recall some of my first memories actually playing cowboys with my buddy Georgie out in the alleyway. And Mom was a nurturer, but she wasn't a smotherer. She would encourage us, and she would give us little pushes and stand back and then pick us up when we fell down.
You give us a long leash, but help
she
us
was
make the right decisions. But if we didn't make the right decisions, there were consequences.
She was a backstop, but she was also a judge. She had a disciplinary side as well. But I was listening to you talk about TV, and I can remember actually watching Hopalong Cassidy and the Lone Ranger back in those days when they first had a TV. I was like 2 or 3 years old, and they were my role models. I was out there blasting away with my little 6 gun. So the other thing that really stood out, in early memories for me, you guys are probably unfamiliar with this, most of you, but we used to wear those little, when you're a baby, you wore those little white shoes, that were sort of made of cardboard or something. She painted those things every day. We were not wealthy, but they were struggling financially, and Mom wasn't working then, so Dad was having to support the whole family, but she was sure we had clean clothes. They were always folded, they were always neat. She folded my dad's underwear, ironed it, and those little white shoes got painted every single day. So eventually they did save some money. They got a car, they moved out to the suburbs, and then this knucklehead came along and ruined everything for me. I waved the world up to them, but things do change. Anyhow, I wanted to just conclude my remarks with a few words that I received from you folks. When I sent around the announcement of Mom's death, I was really touched by some of these comments that came back. I'll read a few of them to you. A great mom, a wonderful person, world's best mom. This is coming from you folks. An amazing lady, wonderful, smart, and classy. A bright light, always smiling and upbeat. A great listener, and had a good heart. She was always good to me. Mom was an extremely good listener. There's so few of those in this world. Most people listen by pushing the pause button on their conversation, and they're thinking what they're going to say next, and then when you finish, then they say what they're going to say anyway. Mom always had a way of making you feel like you're the only person in the room, and she was really tuned in, and you were the only person that she was listening to when she was listening to you. What a beautiful woman she was. Right away I knew she was a good and kind person, a strong and vibrant woman. Of all my friends' moms, your mother showed the most kindness and warmth to me. I always felt special when I was with her. And that's from a friend of mine from high school who's here today. I recall the days of sitting in the living room, sharing our adolescent angst with my mother. She was always a good sounding board and always had some kind words and some encouragement for us. Always put everyone else first. I think the caretakers who are here would certainly vouch for that. Even when she was dwindling away at the end, if we would be feeding her boost on the couch, she would want to make sure that we had our share. She always wanted us to have our sip first. A kind and gentle soul, a kind and thoughtful person, always happy. So that's how we should remember her.
You want me to go?
I thought it was in order of
Oh, okay.
sons.
I want to echo his comments about the impression she made on my friends. Many of my friends considered my mom, a second mom or a mom, excuse me, that they could talk to. And lots of conversation, lots of questions, lots of listening, dying skill set in this day and age. Organizational skills. He was over the top. I remember showing up at a condo. We would have our family gatherings oftentimes at the beach or up in New England, and I showed up with my family, and I wandered into the bathroom, and I noticed that our 4 bathroom towels all had clothespins attached to them. And then I looked more closely, and those clothespins each had a name on them. God forbid, we exchange our bodily agents, and commingle those. And so she made sure.
The reason she had those is so she wouldn't be doing laundry on vacation. That's why.
Okay. I have a couple other things that I wrote down, and I want to get it right, so I'm going to read it. But Mom, as I think Rick mentioned, was not overbearing with kisses and hugs. That was really not her stoic, tough, hardworking Arkansas style. But my mom always made me feel secure. Always made me feel secure. I mean, this guy over here, he was much more studious, got better grades in school, but my mom made sure that I wasn't felt like second fiddle to him. She tolerated my shenanigans
I've never been.
to an extent, so that as long as she thought I was giving my studies a good effort, that was cool. Mom didn't spoil us, but she took care of us. Breakfast, always ready and waiting before school. Lunches packed, all managed while she readied herself for work. She kept me neatly dressed in the best that Montgomery Wards or Sears could offer.
Sears.
And I wore pants that were so heavily starched that, I'm serious, these seams would come out like this, and they were like knife edge, to the point where I would be afraid to rub up against anybody for fear that I would sever their kneecaps. But, and of course dinner. Dinner always prepared, always together as a family. No excuses allowed.
No selfish.
Last thing I'll say is, and I know I think it was mentioned, I don't think I ever heard my mom ever utter a curse word. Ever. Really, and I think that's just the product of the moral code that was handed down by her dad. When she was frustrated, the worst that I could get out of her was fiddle-dee-dee. So on the count of 3, I want all of us to say fiddle-dee-dee. 1, 2, 3. Fiddle-dee-dee! All right.
Well, Mike, I spent a lot of time with Mom, and she did have one word that she said. I heard it. So.
Anyways.
And I say that word now a lot.
She lived a blessed, full life. And Mom, until we meet again.
Well, Mike shenanigans. I just remember Mom talking about when he was probably 2 years old, put his sneakers in the oven, and the oven was on, of course.
He didn't take kindly to the smoke, and believe me, the finished product was not edible. One other thing is, and I have a very vivid memory of her chasing me around the kitchen with a fly swatter. So I must have done something very bad. I'm done.
Well, I was very, very lucky to have a wonderful mother-in-law, and I really consider her my mom for almost 50 years because my mom died at an early age. I was in my 20s, so we had a wonderful relationship. I'm not sure many can say that about their mother-in-law, and she's influenced my life very, very much. And I just hope that the things that you hear today, you can take away, and it makes you think. And that's what we hope today, that you'll take away something from Mom, and maybe that'll become part of your life too. Today I'm wearing blue in honor of Mom. This is her favorite color. And she had a blue dress that she wore to Christina's wedding and to many, many events. So I'm wearing this today. I'm also wearing her very inexpensive watch, which still works, and I like it very much, and it fits me perfectly. I'm also wearing her pearls, which are in costume jewelry. That's basically all she had was costume jewelry. And she never had a diamond ring, so I inherited my mom's, and she wore it as a ring for a while, and then she had it made into a necklace, which she didn't like, and she put it back as a ring, and now it's back with me, and it will certainly move along, probably to my daughter. But just to have these pieces of Mom with me are really important to me. Pulling out her recipes as we were cooking this week, and thank you to many of my friends who made some of Mom's recipes, and family as well. I really appreciate it. So many people stepped up. When I was dating Rick, and of course the meals, and we would be in the small kitchen, and I can remember vividly standing by the dish drainer, and she would be washing the dishes, and I would be drying them, and of course she would be washing them sparkling, because I was never allowed to wash them, but in a very polite way. But we would have sparkling conversation where she always wanted to know about me and my family, and a terrific listener always. She was actually the 6 Ps. I could probably go on when I started thinking about Mom, and I actually got this idea from my friend Tony Morosini, because he has something similar about being well planned. But my Ps for Mom are: she was pleasant, she was pleasing, she was prompt, she was polite, she was pretty in purple and pink, and she was perfect. Yes, perfect in many ways, especially with her grammar and her spelling and her appearance and her attention to detail with every function, dinner, our wedding pre-dinner was perfect, and always went the extra mile. I don't know how she ever did it. When we would be sleeping in the basement after everybody went to bed, I thought I would hear Mom up in the kitchen till like 2 in the morning, getting all the food prepared for whether it was the next day, for vacation, the casseroles that she was making to take on vacation, all the marinated salads. And the reason she did it, partly financial, but because she wanted to have fun with her family, and she did not want to be stuck in the kitchen cooking. So that was, and Mike and I were always like, oh, not another casserole, you know. But guess what? You all are having casseroles today, and they'll be very good. We've altered them a little to make them gluten-free. There wasn't such a thing back then, and we didn't have all these, vegetarian this and that, but we have some of that for you today too. So, unfortunately, one of Mom's, she had so many favorite sweets, was pecan pie. So I made one. Of course, it did not turn out like Mom's. I guess it's not supposed to. I'm not a baker. So we went to the farm the other day, and I bought, I said, I can't believe it. They've got pecan pie. They had 3 of them. I bought them. Well, they're at home in the garage. Sorry. You get the sloppy one that I made today. But Mom always had the ingredients at home to make fudge for when the craving struck. I can remember her going out to stir up a little confection of sugar, butter, and cocoa, and she had her fudge. So, but Mom was a very, not only frugal, but she was not self-indulgent, but part of it was financial. She would go to get her hair done, but she'd wash her hair before she went. She always went to the same lady, never colored her hair. She didn't really need to. She had beautiful hair like some of my friends here. They don't need to color their hair. And she never had pedicures, manicures. I took her for a pedicure once, and she really didn't like it. It just wasn't for her. So, anyway, today she has some very close friends who are here, who hopefully later on will have the opportunity to say something. Her younger friend Claire from one of her jobs, and they worked together for many years, and hopefully she will share today. It was really special she came. And then Mom's best friend Madeline, who is 93 years old, she's still living down in Maryland in the same condo complex, and I've talked to her several times. Her voice is a little shaky, hard to understand, but she's living with her daughter. So we talked, and of course she wasn't able to make this trip, but she's looking through, you know, recipes with Mom's name on them, and I'm finding recipes of Madeline's with her name on it, and she's just a wonderful, fun lady, and it's too bad she couldn't be here with us today. But we have at least 4 of our caregivers here, including my daughter, Tanika, Terry, and Jocelyn, and Russ, who was the secret savior on the side many, many times. And sometimes he goes unrecognized, and we just want to say thank you to Russ. He expected nothing. He was incredible.
Can I say something real quick? I'd also like to give great thanks and appreciation for these 2 people and that lady over there. The Connecticut Dibalas. Rick and Karen made the hard decision to bring them up, bring Mom and Dad up from Washington, D.C. I think, looking back, I wasn't totally sold on the idea, but it did ultimately turn out to be the wise decision to have them close to them. And there were times when I was in Colorado and feeling a little helpless from that far away, living out there, knowing that they were out here digging their heels in and doing all the dirty work. And I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you. I'll always be eternally grateful.
We know that, and it actually was our pleasure. Someone had said to me when we made the decision, they said, your life is over. Well, they were totally wrong. It was really our joy. It wasn't easy, but we had incredible people to help us, and we kept Mom and Dad home, and that's really what they wanted. And some people said, we should have had them in a nursing home in Maryland, where they were familiar with things, because they really never seemed happy here. Like people weren't friendly, but it just, it's hard when you get older, and they weren't forced. They made the decision when Mom started to get sick, so they were able to have that control. Mom, she, and you probably already gathered this, but she lived the 10 Commandments to the T. And I
What
can't.
was the dirty word?
Well, you can guess when you drop something, and yeah. Or you stub your toe. That's more like it, when you stub your toe, right? But I learned, so many things from her. I can't say that I live the 10 Commandments every day, but she makes me think of living them. Because I'm definitely not perfect. I'm not even close. I never tried to be. My cabinets were a mess, and Mom offered to clean them out for me, and I really should have taken her up on it, but I was just too embarrassed. But anyway, what I learned from her too, Erica's going to talk a little bit about this, but she was very clean. Everything was clean, but I never in my life saw anyone go into a restroom and after they used it, wipe the counter down. And I just thought, oh my gosh, leaving it nice for the next person just says what she's about. So Mom, thank you so much for being such an influence on all our lives. May you remain not only in our hearts and our thoughts, but in our actions as we move forward, and treating people with kindness, greeting people by their name and asking how they are, and listening to them, and really caring about other people. That's what I learned from her, and so she would be so happy today because she planned this service. It's all written down. It's her music. Pretty amazing to be that organized. And it's her gift to us. Not that we didn't spend hours and hours and hours, but